All right. If there's nobody else, then I will go ahead and start sharing, and we'll go through some slides. And then we've got a pretty stellar situation going on here with our lineup today. So let me get this full power if I know how to use my computer. Let me get this out of my business. All right, let's do this. Schnitzer Master Agency. Oh man, I'm so used to having two screens. Get out of my face. Get out of my face. All right, let's go. Maybe. There we go. All right. So this is all of the leaders within the organization. You can go ahead and take a screenshot in this if you're confused on who goes where, but we've got all the AOs down to team leaders. I know this team leader slot is about to take off. We've got a few people working on month 2 of team leader, and we've got a handful of people working on agency owner. So if you're like who you hear, who am I direct to and who are they direct to, get used to these names, and anybody on this page is more than willing to help out with anything that you guys need. So it's a great leadership team. Thank God for Scott and Kate for putting so much together for us to be able to follow suit here. All right, group call or team calls of the week. There are a lot more calls within the Symmetry Nation, but these are what our agency has kind of deemed of the most pertinent. Obviously, we've got kicking off the accountability group call, which Scott was just talking about, that Jim started a couple of years ago, that all of us have just been like so fortunate to be part of. It gets you going in the right way. It keeps you accountable. And the biggest part, which we're going to talk about today a little bit, is the association. You're going to meet people that you likely would not be able to meet and connect with. I see Tay Cooper shaking his head like it's a no-brainer to be able to get in there and expand yourself. And then obviously our master agency call. And then the top producer, I'll kind of talk about the top producer and the Be a Better Builder call all in one. They happen inside of the Mac room, which is all day long. Okay. So on Tuesday at 1 o'clock, a top producer who has been labeled by Symmetry writing 20K 2 months in a row, issued, gets to come on. They share. Typically Michael Matthew DJs that call, and it's always really, really good. We had Eleanor on there a couple weeks ago. And then the Be a Better Builder is from Sarah Reinecke, who is probably one of the best coaches I've ever seen. And she brings somebody on to talk about building, or she'll run it herself, whether you're in the just starting to build or you're a seasoned builder. There's a lot of juice in there. And then something I don't think we talk about enough from our own agency is the Danny Young Master Agency call. That gets put in Slack at 10 o'clock, the invitation on Sunday nights. And what I do though, because I'm on the East Coast and I'm old and I don't like to stay up late, is I listen to it Monday morning like a podcast. You should listen to that. Couple of reasons. One, you're going to want to hear your name on there for whether it's writing 5K a week, whether it's writing 3 apps in that last week, or if you're a builder or if you're an agency owner, you get to hear you've got new writers. There's just a lot of reasons to listen to that call. And then he talks about some good mindset stuff. So jump on that if you don't regularly do that. This is our Mac room that I was talking about where these calls take place. You can see a lot of, we're getting more and more involved here. You see these open mic slots though. I would love to see more people jump in on this. We got Rod on there regularly, Giovanna, McKinley, who we've got Don Gates, Sean Banks. I know I'm Tay Cooper. There's probably more. And then the AO live dial power hour. Let me go ahead and plug myself here for a second. Anna Savavi, and Jamie Cupernell, we decided to kick that off a few weeks ago as like a challenge to ourselves. And we realized A, it's fun. And then B, like we have intentional dialing right then and there. I can't tell you what we're going to be dressed like this week, but it's going to be funny. So show up to that. It's an hour of us just rotating and who's on a phone setting appointments. It's a good time. So if you're not on this week, then shoot your AO a message and say, hey, I want to get on there, and we'll send you when those times are available. This is a 5-week month. It's rare, so put the pedal down, and it's awesome that it's lining up with Engage. So you do have a couple more days this week to get stuff issued. So just a suggestion, if you've got business pending with people like AmAm, F&G, Foresters, call them. so you can get it on your issued. Sometimes they literally, it's just sitting there pending and they're like, oh, we forgot to slide it over the finish line. So you do sometimes have to call the carriers, but this is a really good week to go to, or a good month to go to conference and still be able to keep your business moving with that extra week we've got. So take advantage if you're going for a promotion. This, we're going to talk about conference a little bit today. It's kind of like, let me put it this way. If you're here and you decided to join Symmetry and you're not in Denver, as direct and nice as I can say, like, why are you here? Seriously, like, you got to go to the one event we have a year. Scan this thing, talk to your AO. There are so many ways to make this happen. And if you hear Danny on Sundays, if you don't go on August 16th, you're going to be the exact same person that you were on August 12th. Okay. But all of us that go out to Denver, when we come back on the 16th, we will be different. We will have motivation. We will have more tactical use to be able to apply to our businesses. So it's really just a no-brainer. We're going to talk about it a little bit more today. And then if you want to use a discount code, use your agency owner code here. If you're under Schnitzer, Diaz, Mitrud, Grandzaughter, or me, you're also more than welcome to use mine, no matter who's you're under. I won't tell. Smith 1385. Go ahead if you want to use mine. That's totally fine. Just kidding. But scan this code and that'll take you directly to be able to buy a ticket, and then plug in your code and you'll be able to get whatever it is, 60 bucks off. And then we got a lot of people registered. And then we've got Bert and his beautiful wife registered, Rod, Brooke. And I know we'll have a bunch more trickle in over the next few days here. So way to go, y'all. We're going to be representing pretty well. And then this is the schedule. This is going to be my 22, 3, 4, 5. So this is my 4th conference. And I can't see anyone really on the screen, but like, those who have been, I believe this is going to be our best one yet, just the way that they have everything laid out. Like, this is going to be good. I'm pretty pumped for this. We've got a lot of our own team members going to be live on stage. We're on breakouts. So, and then make sure you download the app, which I think we have a slide here for in a minute, but if not, just hit up your AO and they'll get it to you. If you are going and haven't signed up for this and you're newer, scan this and sign up. This is our Thursday night little shindig that we're going to have. And I think there's a capacity. So if you're not on the list, like, you know, there's going to be a bouncer. We're going to have a bouncer out front kicking you out. Not really, but like, you got to be signed up. Just so they can have enough food. That's Kate's biggest fear, is that we don't have enough food. So please sign up, just so, you know, we ain't hungry. You know what I'm saying? All right. Oh, yeah, here's the app. Here's the app. You can find it. Scan the QR code. We got fancy here. Just scan the what have you there. And what's cool too on the app, it makes it very simple to sign up per this year. Like, it was a little confusing the last couple of years, but now they have it per hour. You just go in, click the one you want, talk to your AO if you don't know what makes sense for you. Whatever you feel called to and you need to work on your business, I'm telling you, there's going to be a breakout for. It's going to be phenomenal this year. And then we've got our very own, is Annie on here? Can you unmute? Is she here? Yo, Annie, what are we doing? Drop it like it's hot. What are we doing on stage?
You know, I'm going full on disco. We're
Okay.
gonna go I Wanna Dance with Somebody by Whitney Houston and Dancing Queen by Mamma Mia. So if you guys want to dress up in full on disco with me, we're gonna have a party.
Heck yes. We're all pumped. We're gonna be rooting you on. No doubt you're gonna crush it. So we're excited, and way to go taking the I come from a family of boys, so how do I say this? Having the guts to be able to jump up there. Proud of you. It's gonna be fun.
Thank you. Do
So,
it for the $1,000 lead credit. Come on.
that's right. That's right. All righty, let's get some shout outs here. These guys always running game on the leaderboards these days for the rad section. So number 2, Scott with that $7,500. That's Cat, by the way. So the app was actually bigger. And then for rads, from a submit standpoint, 86,334. Way to go. 8 new riders in the base shop, pumping in that base. 58K with 7 new riders. Those are balling numbers at a base shop. Oh, look at this handsome fella. Look at him go. Joseph Helms, key representing at the key leader level, number 5 key leader, and number 2 with new riders. Way to go, dude. Love that guy. And then we got the cat lady. Just kidding. Is that cursive? Mariana Noah. direct to Mr. Bradford. Way to go. First 5K week. That's huge. Getting on that national call. Shout out. Bonuses. Holla. This is capital bonus. And you can, I'm not even going to try to explain, but it's growth. They compare your numbers from the year before. If you've got growth, you get a bonus basically. So Scott and Kate representing well, and Bob showing year-over-year growth. So that's huge. And then this one's really fun. You ready for this? Skirt. Rod, producer bonus. So when you're bored today, go and Google, not Google, in the search section of HQ, just type in producer bonus and it'll show the structure and how to get that. Basically, when you get to a 95% contract level and you exceed your contract level with issued business, you can participate in some bonus money. So these feel really good because you kind of don't know what's coming. And then you look in your bank account and you're like, okay, holla, we got a couple extra bucks. So way to go, Rod, dude. Proud of you. And then we got some, what is it say? New, sorry, I got things my way. Is this new writers? Yes, new writers. Mr. Carter with the 2954. That's a big one. We got a Robson. These, get used to seeing the Robson name on everything. There's like 50 of them that just came aboard. So, and they're all right in business. So way to go. And then Charles DeMartine, way to go, y'all. Yep. This is fun. This is from last week. Hold on, I gotta move some stuff around. This is up in my business again. So I'll go over the top, what is it, 6? Yeah, so we've got some great numbers over here as well, but we'll focus on these highlighted folks. Matt Robson, that's huge. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's your first few weeks in the game. Sarah Hadley, just always on the move, always producing. Anita back in the game with 7,500. That's capped as well, so probably a big IUL. Joseph Helms, Joseph and Sarah are on the same team, so that's balling. And then Teresa Kelly, always doing good stuff. And I don't even know, Eleanor, you're the best. That's all I know. I've learned a lot from you, and I don't know if you're on this call, but keep doing what you do. And then who we got over here? Yeah, this is, see what I see? Robson. Another Robson. What are these guys? Dude, they're taking over. If anyone's seen the new Happy Gilmore, you guys like the Happy Gilmore too. If you haven't seen it yet, I watched it last night. It's pretty damn funny. Don't let your kids watch it though. Anyways. All right, let's keep going. This is last month. Yeah, this is last month production. So Jared Slatus with 1531, 331. Mariama Noah, 16,440 with 5 apps. Those are juicy apps. Way to go. Rod, 16,457. We'll see what that issue comes up. Might be participating in another producer bonus with that dude. And then Giovanna Mitru, 22K with 13 apps. Sarah Hadley with 26. And she was on the fly a lot of last month, if I'm pretty sure. And then Eleanor with 52K. That is ridiculous. Way to go. Way to go. And not to pass over all the folks here, but we had a lot of solid month here. For sure. And I think we're gonna have, I think number 6 this month I bet 20K minimum is down here this month for sure, with all the juice that we're gonna come out of Denver with. All right, road to ownership. This is a fun one. You can kind of see all the names here. Joseph, big summit, dude, big summit. A lot of riders. That's huge. Sarah doing crushing. Both Sarahs. Hey there. Team Bradford, they're building solid, and I'm biased here for Rod's team. We've got a lot of cool people coming aboard. And then, okay, we got too many Robs. You guys, we're gonna have to like get a whole new slide for them apparently. Just like, hey, this is the Robson slide. We'll just get you guys over here. But yeah, take a screenshot of this and support your people. This is fun. And then submit production for the agencies, Diaz, Mitru, myself, Granzard, and Schnitzer. I'm willing to bet we double this for sure in August. There's no doubt here. So way to go, you guys. That's a big old, that's big for a friggin' base shop on the Schnitzer behalf. That's how you stay rich right there. If any of you ever hear Jamie Susie talk about that, like if you want to keep high numbers, keep a big base. So that's what we're going to be doing here. And the road to ownership, this one's good. This is SNA. If you don't know what that means, and your new season, new agent used to be something that Symmetry actually acknowledged. Instead, they started doing the 5K week. I think it's probably just easier to track, honestly. But we want to do it here just to kind of show growth. So there's going to be a lot more names coming aboard since we literally just started this a couple weeks ago. But this is fun. You're going to see every week some of these names get moved down the line slowly. So right now we've got Tiffany, who hit that. I just think I saw that in Slack this morning. So way to go on that. And so make sure AOs, or if you any of these folks are yours, whether you're agency owner or not, like make sure your people know where they stand, leaders. So it feels good to be able to hit that. 6 apps in 6 weeks. And then, all right, cool. Cool. Let me stop sharing. Let me expand my screen. So we've got a great call today. If you have been part of the accountability or you've been in the Mac room, you have probably seen the name Jill Johnson. One, because she's always just casually saying, "Oh, approved and issued, $1,726." Like every time I'm in there, we were just getting issued business. Not only that, she has led a couple amazing kickoffs in the morning on the accountability call. And if you're smart, you will follow her on Instagram because she's got a stellar page with a lot of good stuff on there. And she has a really cool agency that I got to hop on their call a couple of weeks ago. Are you? Yeah, there you are, Jill. Hello.
I'm
Uh,
here.
okay, yeah, she runs this business with her awesome husband Joe. I don't know if is he on? Yeah, there he is.
I
There.
mean, I made him get on. I was like,
Yeah,
you have to, I need to have one fan on here. So I made him come.
I see a couple. I see a couple. I
I
see
know
an
I just saw Anna on
I
here.
see an oh
Wow.
my gosh, Jim Larson's on here.
Happening.
We got
This
players.
time.
This is the players club call.
Good thing you and I talked about this for like an hour, what we were going to talk about. And
Oh,
not,
we sure did. We were up
yeah.
all night scripting this out and making sure that
Yeah.
we had it pinned down. If you know anything about me, I know we're in a business. Follow your scripts, people, but don't follow mine. I'll tell you that much. So before we get going, there's a couple things I want to do. This is cool. This is what I love about Symmetry and these types of calls. We're going to get into the juice and Jill's going to give us a lot of good stuff today that we'll be able to take, probably apply, or you're going to leave here just like, all right, I need to stop whining, or whatever the case is. You're going to get something out of this call. And every single time a new leader comes aboard, it hits people different, right? It hits people different. That's kind of the point of it. But sometimes you get to hear something from a different lens from someone, and that hits different. So I reached out to a couple of people that know you well, Jill. So if you don't mind, I want to read something from Mr. Larson here, if I can find his text. Uh-oh. Like I said, guys, come prepared, or whatever. Okay, so I asked Jim a simple question. I said, "What? Tell me something about Jill. Just I don't want stats. That's good stuff. I will give you guys a couple stats about Jill in a second, but I just told you she's a top producer and agency director, so she knows what she's doing." But from Jim, he said Jill is the total package. Her impatience and ambition drive her relentlessly forward, but her grace and grit ensure she leads well and has the endurance for the long haul. I've never seen her encounter an obstacle that she didn't know in caps for a fact she was going to overcome. Of course, she always wishes she had overcome it sooner or faster. We all do. But she'll never be in the same place quarter to quarter, let alone year to year. She's a leader you want to follow. She creates a culture you want to be part of. And I can confidently say that you are right now watching what a 130 is before they are a 130.
Wow.
How's that hit, Jill?
Yeah, that hits. I might need a second from that.
That's fine. I'll give you a second. I'll give you a second. So a couple other stats about Miss Johnson here is she joined Symmetry in July of 23, became AO in March of 2024, and then popped out an AO, making her an agency director, Anna Safavi, in August of 2024. She's a mom of 5 and has homeschooled them all. And like I said, she is married to Mr. Joe Anderson down here, who's an awesome dude, wrestling coach, and just an all-around good guy. She lifts weights and she cracks a Diet Dr. Pepper every day at 1 p.m. So that's all you really need to know. So for Jill, welcome to the Schnitzer Master Agency call.
That's awesome. So we're talking about Diet Dr. Pepper and lifting weights today, right?
100%. I'm not gonna
All
lie,
right.
just to take the edge off. I've got a Diet Coke. I didn't have any Diet Dr. Peppers, but
It's too early for me yet, so I gotta wait a little longer.
Yeah. And if you're new and you're like, what are you guys talking about? We'll figure it out between now and here. So Jill, a couple weeks ago, you shared on the accountability call, you know, a lot about protecting yourself. We're going to get into that, but before, give us an elevator pitch of kind of like how did you get here, you know, starting in 2023, and then you know, a little bit about your journey, and then we'll get into some Q&A.
Okay, yeah. So I would say my journey probably started even before that. Some of you know my story, others of you don't. But in 2014, I found myself as a young widow with 5 small kids. So I lost my husband. Um, just it wasn't overnight, but it felt like it was overnight. He was, this big, strong guy, and everything was fine. Never took a sick day in his life, and all of a sudden wasn't feeling well. And I'm like, come on, what's going on here? And what went in as a routine gallbladder surgery, we actually left with a devastating diagnosis of stage 4 pancreatic cancer. So it was an 11-month battle of watching, someone that is one of your favorite people in the whole world, right? Just melt to nothing. Like it was really, really, really difficult. And then you're left with these 5 kids who were very young at the time. I'm homeschooling, like I am full stay-at-home mom role. And then I got to figure out like finances. I got to figure out like things that I just never dealt with, honestly, and almost a little bit embarrassed by that. Like I really didn't have a good pulse on that. The one thing, that I did do really well is just supportive, right? Like I was doing all of the things for him, and like the next thing you know, like all of that's gone. Like the rug is just pulled out from underneath you. But one good thing that we did do is we had a life insurance policy, and so as we kind of went through that, and I'm trying to figure this out, I was given the gift of time of being able to figure it out. I didn't have to throw the kids into school that they had never gone to before and get a job. I didn't have to move back home. I could stay put. And so I knew what that policy did. I was able to pay off the mortgage, right? Like, so the biggest bill, I was able to take that off the table right away. And then there was still some left over that I was able to figure out college, kind of set up the 529s for the kids and figure that out. And then I just started very slowly kind of putting life together, just being mom and trying to figure that out. That fast forward a few years, we had decided, the kids and I had decided we wanted to stay in the home. It was a hard decision. He passed away right here in the home. Like just kind of terrible, but we knew that we wanted to stay here. And so my late husband and I had been planning an addition on the house, and I felt secure that we could go ahead, and we had put the money aside. And so I'm like, well, I'm going to go ahead and move forward with this, like, which is also scary. Like I don't know anything about construction. I don't know. And we're building we had a really small house, and you never know what 5 kids is going to look like, especially when you move into it and then you find out you're expecting twins to get to the 4th and the 5th. So that was crazy. And so through that project, God brought Joe right to my dining room table. He was actually put on the job as our project manager. He knew the situation and just handled it with so much grace, and was such a shoulder for me through you're building a master bedroom, and you're in there by yourself, right? You're a widow by yourself. Like that's not very fun. He just really walked me through so many things. The kids fell in love with him. He would throw the football with them at the boys at his lunch break and things like that. And so we became friends through that. He had gone through kind of a loss of his own of a poor marriage. And so we just started to become friends. And then after the project, that friendship never really ended. And so one thing led to another. We ended up starting a partnership. Before we even got married, I pretty much made him promise pretty much immediately. I'm like, okay, well, if you like get into this and the kids start loving you, like you have to be all in, buddy. Like this is not something that like you can't casually date when you've got 6 people, kind of depending on that person. So no pressure at all on him. But we started to get into real estate together. So he had the construction background. We both had a little bit of money that we could kind of get started with that. And so that quickly kind of grew. We then got married. And so we kind of started that portfolio that got into a really good spot. And we were just, I was thinking Joe had a lot of time on his hands, if we're really being honest. I'm like, you know what? He could take on something else. I knew Jim Larson from another business, and I was watching a lot of people in the life insurance world win. And that was something that was so important to me, like, because I really don't know where I would be without that policy that we took out, like, when we were so young, right? Like we didn't even really know. We just knew that, hey, I think adults get life insurance, so we're gonna get life insurance. And then we added some kids to the mix, so we, we increased it. We did everything right, thank goodness. And so I was telling Joe, I was like, I think you should check this out. I think this would be really good for you. So we got on a call with Jim, and Joe's like, I'm doing it, but you're getting licensed too. And I'm like, that's fine. I guess I'll do it with you. And so we got licensed, and then you guys kind of know the rest. When we came in, we knew, when I found out that you could own your own agency and that this was willable to kids, like that hits me, right? Because I was the beneficiary on a policy, right, that literally saved us. And so when I could see that I could own this agency that could be willable to my kids, I was like, Joe, that's that's what we're doing. And we're doing that quick. And so while nothing comes quick enough for me, that was like, I knew what we were doing when we got here. And now it's just, going through the motions, being bad at it, getting a little bit better, being bad at something else and getting a little bit better. And now we're, getting the opportunity to lead some amazing people and help them reach their goals as well.
Yeah, heck yeah, you are. You've got a solid team. It was a lot of fun a couple weeks ago jumping on there and just seeing like the synergy that is within y'all's agency. And thank you for sharing that. That's never like not fun to share about, but there's a reason for it. And if you guys were on the accountability call today, you heard Jim share a little bit about some personal experience, kind of like breaking, right? And everybody's version of that looks a little bit different. And we're going to get into, what some production looks like and building looks like and some mindset. But ultimately, you don't really end up, in my opinion, like you find yourself at Symmetry because you're smart enough to see the opportunity, or you're wanting something that you have the flexibility to create, right? And maybe you've been burnt elsewhere, but in order to gain some sort of humility to be able to lead and then to attract and then be able to move forward, there has to be a little bit of humiliation, right? And that's everybody's own personal story. And for you, it sounds like you knew that you had already seen when something gets taken away, and you wanted to make sure everything was in place for the kids. And that's huge. I can tell you that my neighbor, he's a Chick-fil-A owner and operator. And he always tells me, he's like, I have an amazing income. Like, I know I do, but it's not mine. Like, he doesn't own, like, people think he owns a Chick-fil-A, but he doesn't. He's the operator of it. He's at the top of that branch, but Chick-fil-A owns that. So when he stops, his income is going to stop. So he has to make sure something post Chick-fil-A is going, this is a little bit different. You can set this up and you can have it for your family to make sure that that's tight and secure. So I love that you touched on that.
Well, and then if I can just add to that. So I was supportive role, right? Like he was working like 12, 13 hours out of the day for this construction company that we were building together. He passes away. That, yes, they kept him on for like 3 months. Like they paid us, which was so great. And they let us keep our health insurance for a while, but that ownership went away, right? They bought us out. Like I didn't get to stay into that. And that's really, really different. Where like now I know what Joe and I are building, right? If God forbid something happens to me or something happens to him, this will continue, right? Like I don't have to, nobody's going to buy us out or anything like that. And so that was really good because like, yes, the income goes away, but even that ownership in that company went away. And that was something that I didn't really expect to happen. And so what we do have here is it's special. It really is. And it is legacy leaving.
100%. All right. So you're coming up on year 2. Wait, 2 full years,
We
right?
just had 2 year. Yep. 2 year was June 28th, July. Yeah.
Okay. So we've got a lot of newer folks on this call today. So I would love to touch on that first 6 months, right? of how you got that. When you come into symmetry, it's a lot. Almost every person, myself included, you feel like you're drinking out of a fire hose a little bit, right? There's so much going on. First, you get through licensing, you pass your test, you're like, holy crap, all right, that's done, right? And then you get into HQ, and then you get the trainings and the calls and the Sure LC. So tell me, talk a little bit about that first 6 months of how you kind of broke through that black cloud of confusion to be able to start really moving.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I was very scared to get on the phone. Like that was like a big fear. I saw Joe, like he was down in the office. He was like making all these dials. I'm like, but what are you saying? Like, what are we even supposed to say? You know, like, so that was like just such a big thing to kind of get over the learning curve. Really had to just trust Jim. And just really kind of borrow his belief in the beginning. But the thing was, I plugged in immediately. Like I plugged into the systems immediately as far as okay, this is how many dials are supposed to be, because I'm very structured like that, right? Like, I like to know the plan, right? So Wilbur being like, hey, we're just gonna wing this today. I'm like, this is panicking me, right? So I want to know the plan, right? Well, the plan is like 300 dials, 300 to 400, 500 dials, right? To get the 12 to 15 appointments. And so I was like, okay, that's a plan. Like I can wrap my brain around that. And so just slowly started to kind of, chip away at that. And really messed up a lot of things in the beginning. Like I direct billed people, like I just made so many mistakes. And Jim was like, okay, awesome. And I'm like, well, you said everything is like fixable, right? And I'm like, can you fix it? And he's like, no, but you can, like, you're going to go fix it. And I'm like, well, you said, we would fix this. And so he was just very much like, call the carrier, do all of this. But one thing that we did really early on is we showed up at conference and we knew nothing. I am an introvert. I really like my hotel room at the end of the day and things like that. And so I was like, I just don't understand why we need to like go talk to these people. And Joe's like, I think we should go talk to people. And I'm like, that's fine. So we started talking to people and I was like, it just kind of, everything just kind of unfolded for me then. First of all, I had never been in a room where it was like people were so like-minded, right? And like people that I wanted to be friends with and that I wanted to learn from, and somebody to take me and be like, hey, this is what I'm doing and this is what works. Like there was no gatekeeping, right? They were telling us exactly what the success was. And then when you kind of are also at conference and you start seeing those numbers and you're like, holy cow, like we're really in the right place. So I feel like doing that and then just following the system in those first 6 months and really just kind of doing it a mess. I will always say, like, well, I told Jim this all the time, but I was like, a month here is like a semester at college. Like your first month, it's like, boom, that's freshman year semester. Like the next one, it's like, oh my gosh. And I remember when Anna and I were kind of getting through, we're at that part where it's like about 30 to 40 appointments, right? We're holding it. I called her up and I was like, I think I'm starting to get the hang of this. Like, I'm starting to get like kind of good at this, right? But it took the clients teaching me things. It took me kind of messing up on the phones. It took like, I feel like the clients are the best teachers in all of this, because they ask me questions and we always want to role play and things like that. But nothing is going to prepare you the way a client will. And actually just getting on the phone and letting them teach you. And there's nothing wrong with saying, you know what, that's an awesome question. And I'm not exactly sure the answer of that. Let me call the carrier, find out the answer to that, and I'm going to call you back. Like I learned so much by doing that. And then you kind of like, you get through that 6 month mark and you kind of look back at where you come and you're like, all right, I kind of got the gist of this, right? And then of course something else comes up. But I think really kind of just digging in, being super coachable, but also just like making a mess and letting the clients teach you.
Yeah, 1000%. You can train until the cows come home, as Danny Young says. But there's nothing that is going to teach you like presentations and screwing it up or succeeding, one or the other. Or yes, putting somebody in direct bill, or maybe you write an app in Alabama when they're in Louisiana, right? Like we've all done things along those lines. Those are fun.
Those are.
You said two things that I want to back up on. You said, oh, if there's a plan, you tell me to do 300 dials, like then I'll just go and do that. Why do you think people don't do that?
Well, I think we always are looking for like an easy button, right? Like we're like such a microwave society. And I want the easy button too. right? And so a lot of times I think they're, well, ego. I mean, put a one in the chat if you came in with a little bit of an ego, because I did. That I'm like, well, it's not going to take me. Like, I'm super personable on the phone. People are going to want to book with me. It's not going to take me that long, but it does. And I think people sometimes they don't. It's fear, right? Fear of getting over that, but then also like the ego of like, I came from another industry where I was successful and I had wins, right? We have a great, real estate portfolio. Well, that didn't mean squat here. And you have to do the reps in order to get really, over those hurdles to do that. So I think a lot of it is fear, and I think a lot of it is ego that they just need to kind of put to the side.
100%. And correct me if I'm wrong, you are a top producer, yes?
Correct.
Okay. And so when you hit top producer, how far into your journey was that?
Let's see. It was first month of AO run. So
That makes sense.
January.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
January and February. And then I think I hit it a couple other times too, after that. But yeah, really consistently through that AO run. I mean, I feel like when you're going for that AO run, you got to be able to carry, lead from the front, right? Almost carry the team through that and prove to yourself that you can do that.
Yes. Yeah, big time. And so right now, you're still an active producer. And let's go back a little bit. You might have a different activity schedule now, because I know a lot of the new people, when folks come aboard calls, they want to know the details they're always thinking about, right? So when it comes to resources, which is part of our system, right? When it comes to resources, when you are going for those high production months, or maybe just your regular in and out month, what are your resources look like? What is your activity dials look like now, maybe compared to then, and has there been an adjustment?
Yeah, so really early on, I think it was probably taking me definitely like 300 to 400 dials. I started out with like the 250, but I feel like after conference, definitely moved up to like $400 a week, right? Of leads. And I started to believe a little bit more, got into higher intent. And then in December, which was my biggest writing month, was December, because I wrote like over 30,000, but a lot of it didn't issue until January. That was a whole other thing I should have learned earlier, because I could have pushed some more of that through, and month one should have been December. But with that, I had switched to, I moved more to digital. Digital leads just worked really well. I've got 5 kids. I like kind of being on the go and sitting at wrestling tournaments and being able to contact my leads. And then that's where I really probably haven't spent less than $700 or $800 a week on leads, and still to this day.
Yeah, okay.
Dials, though, I will say I don't probably have to dial as much. Although if Joe pulled up the accountability sheet from last month, I don't think there was a week I didn't have 300 dials on there. And then I'm always shooting for at least 12 appointments.
12 appointments booked or sat?
Sat.
See, that's the juice right there. All right. I love that. And I think that Anna, I said that for you on the juice behalf. So I saw your comment. Think I can't read. But let's start talking about building, because your agency is amazing and you guys are moving forward pretty well. So you're still producing a ton, 300 dials, running 12 appointments. You've got kids at home. You're active in the gym. I know that.
Let's not forget about the gym.
We're going to get there. We're going to get there. This is stuff that we have to talk about, because we've got new folks on that need to know how to get things done. We'll talk about that stuff here soon. When it comes to building, a lot of people, and we've heard this a million times, I need to know that X works. I need to know how this goes. I need to know whatever. What I was told at conference was symmetry is actually built for the builder, right? The way that it is constructed is built for the builder, and on the production, it's actually designed so well for you to be able to do that in parallel with it. But we always focus on the now money, because we get nervous that if we're not only producing that we're on the building side, that it's not going to work, right? So when you're a new builder, Talk about that of why you have to do both, and then how you balance that. You mentioned this on the accountability call a few weeks ago, so I want to start steering in that direction.
Yeah, so I mean the balance thing is kind of I think it's kind of a myth a little bit. Just like I don't think you're ever truly going to feel balanced. I think you're always going to feel like, okay, well, I'm spending a little bit more time in production and now I got to get more to the building. I think the balance thing is hard. I always am shooting for those 12 sits though, and then 20 interviews, whether I'm doing that group interview or not. But the building is it's so important and it's day one. And I just want to say to those people who are like, well, I got to come in and I just got to prove this and I got to make sure that this really works before I start building. You need to check your ego with that, right? Like, I mean, who am I to come in to like prove the system, right? Like, there's so many people that have come before me. This system works. Start building, start recruiting. I mean, that was one thing we did not stumble on at all when we first came in is we brought Anna, like she's like a month after us, right? We started bringing people in when we didn't really know what we were doing. We still started bringing people in. I'm like, this is the system is here. This is not something that I have to go out and prove and show like, oh, wow, this system works. Okay, now I guess I can bring, I since recruited my best friend from high school. Now I can bring Ginny in because I've proved the system. No, like the system works. And my success is not dependent on Anna's and Anna's is not dependent on mine, right? The same with Jenny. And so this system is such a well-tuned, amazing plug and play that you just got to go out and build and you just have to have that confidence. And I can still kind of get into that mindset sometimes, and Joe can kind of even probably attest to this, but I can kind of get in that freak out mode, right? Like I know the later money is coming, but sometimes that now money is just like such instant gratification that I can kind of get stuck in that, and I can kind of get in that production mode. But even just this last week, we're like, okay, we've really got to get back to when we started the year in January, we had a goal of 50 new writers for our agency by June for our base. And so we did that. And then all of a sudden I'm like, okay, well, I've kind of felt like the end of June and July like are kind of off. And so for August, I'm like, we are back on and we're going to set the same goal for the end of the year. Because the one thing that we noticed in doing that, I'm not having to produce so much, right? I'm not having to do top producer numbers. And our agency is growing. And we're hitting bigger numbers. We're hitting the 115. And actually through our 115, we were issuing 120 numbers. And that's because we're building and we're bringing new people in and we're getting good at coaching them and having those consistent writers.
Yeah, and we talked about this on your call a couple weeks ago. In the world I come from prior to this, like there's a saying you have in order to keep it, you have to give it away. And to become a good teacher, you all like the best student, and what I have seen here is the teacher. Every time what you're doing is you are you're validating yourself that you know what's going on, you know where to find something, you know something, whether it's with a carrier, whether it's a conversation with a new team member, whether it's just finding something in HQ. Like what you're doing is anchoring within yourself that you know where to go and you know exactly what's going on in this business. If you are isolated and you're focused on you in this little square that you've got on this little screen in whatever office you're working out of, it's gonna get hard
Yeah.
from what I have seen, and you get into your head. But when you are able to focus on others, that's the beautiful part. When you get to focus on others, you grow as a person. And so when we talk about, you hear a lot about the four cornerstones, right? Like there's one of the big one is the self-improvement, right? And Anna described you as relentless. And so when it comes to the self-improvement part, right? And because there's a couple different pillars that you really got to focus on to start doing well here and believing more and more, which is also cornerstone. To start believing more and more, like let's talk about the self-improvement and what that has done for you, because this is what a lot of people got out of your call a few weeks ago. And like my phone was blowing up after that. So when it comes to protecting your mind, growing yourself, building the confidence, what does that look like for you?
Well, I mean, it's been a journey for sure. And it's something that I'm still, it's just a constant struggle, but your brain is always listening, right? Whatever we feed it, whether it's truth or doubt, and then it'll go find that proof. And so if you're constantly thinking, thank you, buddy, I can't close, or these leads aren't any good, or like the system doesn't work, right? That's what your brain's going to go find. Like, that's what you're going to go find. And so it's so important that you guys are getting on the accountability call every morning. You're plugging into the Mac room, because when you build your day and you start thinking about, like, okay, who am I going to bless today, right? Who am I going to pick up the phone? And is there a family like mine that I'm going to be able to put something in place to bless them for, years to come? When life is good, right? When they have no idea of the storm that's coming, like I did. And so when you start walking through your day, even before you get on the phone, like now I literally just have like an affirmation that I'm just constantly saying throughout the day about being a top producer and about being a top recruiter. And it's something that I've written, and it's just something that, like, now I just say it. I mean, I literally, if something comes up, I've got 2 apps that are outstanding right now that they haven't signed, and they're kind of like, oh, I don't know. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not even gonna, they're signing those apps, right? Or we're going to get on the phone and we're going to figure out something else to do. But it's just all about, like, God is blessing my activity, right? Your energy, your postures, your results will begin to shift if you can just get that mindset built right, and just knowing that this is going to work out. Like, this is rigged in your favor. Symmetry is so rigged in your favor. This whole system is rigged in your favor. And now you just have to go out and walk the walk. God would not have planted that dream in your mind if he didn't have a way to walk that out with you.
100%. And so for you, I know you're active in the gym. When it comes to, right, we could talk about that. What is actually, yeah, let's sit on that for a second. What does that do for you when it comes to this, showing up in front of people, keeping high energy? Because here's the deal: when you start to lead, and no matter what, when you get on the phone, like, sometimes you do have to put on a face, right? Because if you've got somebody calling you that they're not feeling well, and they show that you're not, they see you're not feeling well, right? In that moment, you got to have high energy. Okay, even if it's temporary. So let's chat on that. Like, what does that do for you on a regular basis?
Yeah, I mean, the motivation's great when it comes, right? When I feel motivated to go out to the gym, that's awesome. That's just not daily. That's just not reality, right? And you've got to create a system in your life where it's just, you show up and you're just so consistent. It's the discipline that will literally change your income. It will change your body. It will change your health. And so it's that showing up when you don't feel like it, which is probably more times than not, right? You'll find that this business will reward those people who just keep going after the no, right? If you look at top earners, top producers, elite producers, they didn't just get lucky, right? They made the 1,000 dials before they even got their first yes. It's the same thing. You can equate it to the gym or this business, or showing up with your kids. It's just that discipline of showing up every single day and doing the things that no one sees, right? Like, no one's sitting in your office and being like, well, good job, Wilbur, you just dialed 100 people, super proud of you, like, here you go, kind of thing. That's not where it's going to come, but they're going to see when you hang 10,000 on the leaderboard. But you just got to keep going when it just feels like nothing's coming, because you just haven't gotten through that breakthrough right yet. You haven't, like, you're still pushing that rock, like, up the hill. So I think that that's so big. It's just like the most talented ones are just the ones that are the most consistent with it, the most success. They're doing it out of just the pure discipline and knowing that this is going to pay off.
Big time. And I mean, yeah, I can tell you now, you can find self-validation if you're on Funnel, because when you get through
That's true.
your lead list, congrats, you crushed
Yeah.
that session. And I'm like, Funnel, nobody even answered. What do you mean?
I know, right?
But
I literally talked to no one, but thank you, Fuddle, for seeing that.
yes, I told my wife, I'm like, you see, could you be more like Funnel?
Here, this is what I did.
Yeah, totally. So you hear so many people say, you got to expand your mind. It's all in your mind. And you can read a million books. You can read or listen to a million podcasts. but I think that actually can be bad because you keep listening to somewhat of the same message over and over, but without action following behind it. So for if no one has ever gotten into like, and the word personal development does get thrown around a lot. Like, let's be real, it gets thrown around a lot because it's easy to say I'm working on myself, right? But without action, it can be somewhat of a detriment because you're hearing a message and you can listen to the same few podcasts, whether it's like Ed Milet or Alex Hormozy, and they're talking about very similar things, but you keep listening, but then you're not doing. You will start to have a negative message in your head. So for you to hyper focus on a few of these things, like what are some suggestions to newer folks as they're getting into this of how to actually take something and use it?
So I'm really big at like my notes app, like when I'm listening to something or I listen to a lot of things because I'll like listen to books like when I'm working and out and everything is like keeping like a little note section, right? Of your phone. I think that's really huge of like, hey, I want to actually apply this. The other thing is I would say like those affirmations are so huge. Like, so even before, like when I get on to dial, like you're not just going to smile and dial, you're also going to like say something really positive, like, right? Like, I have amazing leads that come into my funnel. Everyone answers the phone or texts me back so I can book 12 to 15 appointments. Of those 12 to 15 appointments, I am writing large APV, a very sticky business, and I'm issuing no less than 20,000 a month. Like just get like a little mantra that you just want to like chant over and over again. I think that is so huge because, and sometimes you do kind of have to like, I agree with you. Like I can get into that. Well, I've got to be self-developing, but sometimes when you don't take the time to like go on a walk and like reflect and really think about things that you want to change, it's you're not getting anywhere, right? And sometimes we can take a whole book and we could be like, okay, I'm going to change all of these things, and then you end up really changing nothing. Like pick one thing that you can do, whether if you're brand new, really all you got to be doing is dialing and booking appointments. That's it. So if there's something that you need to change and you need to put a little affirmation on, or you need to play some fun music before you get on the phone to hype yourself up, do that then. If you're in the middle of like building and you need to be building more, then you need to come up with your affirmation for building and just trusting that God's putting people in your path that's going to come in here and do awesome things with it. I think that's kind of my advice for that, is like just taking something, but maybe just one thing and putting it into action.
Micro changes. We talked about this.
Micro.
Eleanor talked about this on the top producer call a couple weeks ago in the Mac room. It's micro changes yield big results because they compound, kind of like all these fancy policies we like to write, right? Like
Yep.
it's got to take time, it's got to marinate, and it has to build. But if you keep making radical shifts all of the time, it's really hard. I watch it all the time. I'm like the most religious UFC fan out there, and you'll see these guys, they'll lose like 2 fights in a row. They'll literally change gyms and dye their hair, and then they come back and then they don't win. And I'm like, okay, so it was the hair in the gym chain. Like, no, it's always the individual, right? There's something internal that needs to change. So yeah, I love that. It's not something so radical that you have to like, oh my gosh, I'm canceling all my leads and I'm changing it all, and then like whatever. It's never actually like that. So
And that's usually the biggest mistake.
oh, for
It's
sure.
like, oh, I'm going to change, I'm going to change my leads. I'm going to do that. Like, and that's probably a good reminder coming back from conference. You're going to take so much in, but take the like reflect on it afterwards and think about the 1 to 2 things that you're actually going to change and implement that's going to move the needle for you.
Yeah, for sure. And so we've got a minute or so left. What's Jill Johnson excited about over this next? So I love what Anna said, or I'm sorry, what Jim said, that you won't be the same quarter over quarter, speaking about you. So like, what are you excited about in the next 6 months?
And the next 6 months, 120 is definitely happening, probably right after conference. I mean, this is gonna be a big month this month. I can already feel it. So 120 is happening, and then next year is just setting up to hit 130 before the end of December. So probably what I'm feeling like in my mind that's looking like is that Jill has to be a little bit okay with not being top producer in her agency, and kind of move into that leadership role of building and helping get consistent writers. I think for our family, there's just a lot of exciting things we've got. Like we're going to plan a trip and do some things like that, and just getting to fully be present to watch our boys hit the wrestling mat this winter, watch our son go play college football. Our daughter's thriving in Oklahoma now, and our daughter is dancing in tennis. So just a lot more fun family time that it's so precious because we don't miss anything. Joe will be coaching. I will be in the stands nervous, and it will all be good.
That's the best. I love that. I don't know if Joe, my wife was talking about it at dinner the other night. Like, I can't sit still at any of our kids' games. My kids are a lot younger than yours. But I'll try to sit in the stands, and then like I get bouncy, and then I'm up against the cage. Like I'm there, like face first. So I love that Joe coaches. I love that for you guys. And I just thank you for coming on to this call. I hope if you guys are newer or not, or you've heard Jill, no matter what, can you drop a couple of things inside of the chat, maybe a word or two that you gathered from this? I guess a yes or no question for you, Jill, before we sign off. Has everything so far been worth it?
Oh, 100%. 100%.
And you said
And then some.
you said you have real estate, and Scott asked you this once before, I believe. Would you rather get more real estate under your name, or would you rather build more agencies under you?
Definitely more agencies. Definitely more 130s. More 130s, more 130s, more 130s. 100%. 100%.
Heck yeah. Well, thank you again for coming on. We will get this recording your way. You're an amazing human, you and Joe both. And we didn't talk about the gym as much, so I'm sorry about
I know that's probably the next call. That's fine.
Yeah, we'll do that. Follow Jill on Instagram, especially if you are a mom. Like she's one to follow. 5 kids is no lightweight situation. And so thank you, Jill. We'll see you in a couple weeks. Big hugs.
Thank you, Wilbur.
Yep, I said that out loud, by the way. So
okay, awesome. I can't wait.
yeah. All right, guys. Have a good Monday.
Bye, guys.